This video isn't going to be too in-depth or anything. It is just 6 really good study tips that are quick that you can apply for your next study session. Remember, studying isn't necessarily about spending more time. It's about using time wisely. So here are just 6 key tips and key tricks to study more effectively. But before we start, there's a couple techniques and stuff, the Pomodoro technique and the 80-20 rule that you definitely would have heard of. First of all, the Pomodoro technique is typically people say, oh, work for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, that kind of thing before having a 5-minute break. Yeah, no, not always. You would want to get into the flow state of work, so maybe an hour 30 most, then have like a 10-15 minute break. That's far better than having these short bursts. Of course, in some situations, short bursts are better. For example, if you're doing mind maps or flashcards, those short bursts are typically better. But in terms of just general studying, you would want to study for like an hour chunk at a time for the main stuff. Then leave the smaller things like flashcards for the 10-15 minute ones. Now for the first tip, I haven't seen this anywhere, but it's actually just walking whilst you're going over material. Say you have like a couple flashcards you want to go over. Literally just walk around your room. You're going to look insane, trust me. But it low-key works. I don't know why. It's just when I did it, it just helped me remember the information a lot better. And especially when I would do this, I would speak to myself, which defo I'm 100% crazy. I would look 100% crazy. I would look like I'm insane, that I belong in a mental asylum, but it works. So just give it a try. The second step is to take active notes. So often you'll be watching a YouTube video. Let's say you're doing psychology, for example. You'll be watching a video on psychology. What you should be doing is pausing every now and then after you understood the information or like you heard the information. Pause it, take notes. Don't look at the notes, see if you can remember it. Go back and watch the same thing. And do that for every major step of the video. Then at the end of it, you want to go back over your notes. Just read through it one more time. This would help improve the retention as you're writing in your own words and then you're like remembering from your own words and not a word from a YouTube video or a textbook. Now for my first step, it kind of links back to the first one. It's just reading the information out loud or like explaining the information either to yourself or to someone else. It's often, you'll be surprised just how little you really understand when you actually try to explain how you go to the conclusion, why things work. And in doing so, you first of all, you just reinforce your understanding of the bits you do know. And it would also highlight the stuff that you don't know. So you go over them and remember them. This next tip is a bit of an experiment. Some people work well with quiet background music, white noise, or classical music. Other people prefer just complete silence. So if you always study in complete silence, just maybe experiment just for one session to see would low volume classical music help. If it works, then you might just find out to be slightly more motivated for studying. If it doesn't, there's no harm. And for my last tip, it is to review your notes before you sleep. Before you go to bed, just have a flashcard or two and just go over the key bits of information. I don't know why it works. I don't know if it's like a universal thing, but for me personally, before I go to sleep, just going over the few key points. By the time next morning comes and the next day goes on, I will just remember those points far better than the ones I didn't do. So you get some important information. For example, if you're doing computer science, you might be struggling to know the difference between ROM and RAM. Just go over the information before you go to bed, maybe spend 5-10 minutes, go to sleep, and then tomorrow you would have a better understanding of the differences. I hope this helped. So just apply these tips and you study smarter, not harder. Remember, consistency is key. Good luck.